Hi everyone, I'm Steve here with Brian Sanchez. Brian Sanchez is a personal trainer at Fitness for 10 in Carson City, Nevada. You can check out Fitness for 10 online. If you want to go down and say hi to Brian, that's where you will find him. So, also, if you want to get a hold of me, you can do that at stevemain.com. That's the best place. You can leave a message, send an email, or whatever. So, hi Brian, how's it going?
Everything's going well, Steve. Good to see you. Thanks for inviting me again.
Okay, so we got a really good question from Sean Woods. And that question is, he says that he has high blood pressure. And if he does anything physical, that's really difficult. But he wants to get into the gym. Is that possible? Where would he start? Would he start at a low level? And um, should he get a personal trainer? So I would just throw my 2 cents in first in that we always screen all new members. Um, and often, depending on that screening, you will need a doctor's release at times. Is that correct, Brian?
That is correct. When we do our regular, it's just a handful of questions we ask, but part of that is related to blood pressure medications or heart medications. And if you do have that, we do want some form of release or something that shows that you're capable of doing this.
Right. So it'll just be a release where your doctor says it's okay for you to exercise. Uh, do you have to have a personal trainer? No, I'm not. I'm speaking about the clubs that we're involved with. Um, because the trainer is going to go over everything with you. Is it a good idea? Yes. It is a good idea to have a personal trainer with any condition, or sometimes it is with even not having a condition like this. So, um, a personal trainer is a good idea. Do you have to have one? No, because you'll get enough information from a personal trainer with an initial assessment and so on to help get you started. You may want to get one session or maybe have the trainer uh, check and do some of the testing that they do on you once a month or something like that. But you don't have to, but it's something that is a good idea. So, Brian, can you walk us through, what happens when somebody comes in at one of our clubs and becomes a member? And I don't know what it is like at other clubs, but we can tell you what we do. So, what happens if somebody comes in and they want to get a membership?
So when anyone comes into our club, and every year actually when they renew memberships, we offer a session with a trainer. You get at least one a year. That's not going to cost you anything. And at a minimum, it helps us to help you take a look at yourself and see where your exercise fitness levels are, whether you need to make some quick adjustments. It has nothing to do with whether or not you're going to sign up with us. It's what we offer here at Fitness for 10. It's a benefit of being a member of our club. And I recommend everybody do it, whether you're an experienced exercise person, whether you are a doctor or a nurse, whether you're a guy that's in the trades, whatever it is you do for a living, you know a lot about you and what you do. But it's always good to get your assessment done and come and talk to the trainers, just to make sure you're aware of where your body's at and what you need to do for your own success. Now, more specifically, in a case, which is it Sean? Steve, Sean's his
Yeah,
name. Like Sean,
yeah.
if you're coming in and you're saying, "Hey, I got high blood pressure," we're going to find that in the screening. Now, when a client comes in and sits down with us, we go through a questionnaire. We interview you. Hey, how you doing? What's your favorite ice cream? I'm kidding. But we talk to them about what they do, how they do it, what their goals are, define where they want to be, what they're trying to change in their life, if they like where they're at, do they want to make some adjustments, do they want to just maintain, you name it, we ask about it, all the way down to food and whether or not they take medications. Now, obviously, like anything else, you don't have to tell us your whole life story. But what you're willing to share and the more you can share, the better off it is for us to help you to create a program for you. In that area, we do have a series of questions that are related to medical that you have to sign and we have to sign together for your safety. And in that is inclusive of blood pressure issues, heart issues. Now, I agree, Steve, you don't need a trainer. Nobody needs a trainer. But it's an excellent idea to work with a trainer because there's a lot of things you got to start thinking about when you exercise and you have a condition such as high blood pressure. Um, those who are new to high blood pressure are going to go on WebMD and try to figure out all the causes and self-diagnose yourself. And you may either scare yourself a lot and not come in, or you might just say, okay, I need some help. I recommend studying the whole thing. Find out as much as you can. What we're going to do is, first off, we're going to say, are you under a doctor's care? And if you are, if I'm talking to you, I'm going to say, okay, has your doctor given you a release to work out with us? And if they haven't, please get that for us. And they'll get it. People grab them all the time. A lot of times, it's just an email from the doctor's nurse, whatever, says, yeah, they're good to go. But we need to know because there's certain things we need to know, such as what kind of medicine are you on? It doesn't sound like a silly question sometimes, but this is important to us, and I'll explain that in a second. We need to know from your doctor whether or not you have limitations. What does your medication do to you? You have to take that medication for more than just a day to understand how your body responds. Like anything else, if you're taking an ACE inhibitor or a beta blocker or a diuretic to control your blood pressure, it's really important for you to know what's going to happen to your body. And just by taking it, moving around your house and working in your yard, doing your day-to-day activities, going to work, you're going to find things are changing with you. And that's even before you start exercising. And we need to have that discussion when you're working with a coach or a trainer, as we like to call it. And that's really important because your body's going to change how it operates. If you're not medicated and you think you have hypertension, well, you need to go talk to the doctor before you do it if you think you have it. We can't diagnose it. We're not doctors. We're not physical therapists or anything like that. We're not nurses. We are fitness trainers. So we can't diagnose. We can't recommend. We can't tell you what kind of meds to do. We can't tell you anything of that nature. That all has to come from medical staff. So once you gather all that information about yourself, and if you're coming in, and I'm going to make the assumption that Sean's already found out, and that he's probably taking meds, would be my guess, or he wouldn't have asked that question. So we want to know how your body works. Like if you're on a beta blocker, I'm going to ask, hey, what was your workout heart rate pre beta blocker? And let's just say, Steve, you're the client, and you say to me, well, Brian, I would train around, I would get my heart rate up to about 140, and that's where I felt comfortable in my workouts. And if you're on a beta blocker, I'm going to tell you, hey, don't even try to get to 140. We have to kind of rethink where your maximum heart rates are and your workout heart rates are, because the medication is designed to control your heart rate. It does the work it's supposed to do to keep your blood pressure down. So trying to target yesterday's heart rate and you're now medicated can be harmful to you. Be my guess. So you don't necessarily want to look at it in that fashion. So we're going to have to recreate and remeasure where your heart rate might be when it comes to exercise and what's safe for you when you're medicated. So instead of you spiking at 150, you might not even be able to get close to that if you're on a beta blocker. Things like diuretics. If you're working out and you're taking a diuretic to control your blood pressure, diuretics are going to cause you to urinate more. They relieve the fluids from your body, help the heart operate better. Um, and when you're using these things, because your sodium's getting reduced and stuff like that, it's going to start controlling that. But on the other side, you're not going to have as many fluids in your body. So your hydration levels are going to be really, really important to us because the body doesn't function when it's dehydrated well. And I guarantee you, if you're on a diuretic, your doctor's going to go over all of this. But we have to really measure your bodily fluid intake because of that, because you're on those medications, so that we don't dehydrate you into this gym so you're ineffective on your next shift at work. Or if you're watching the grandkids, all you're doing is falling asleep because you're dehydrated. We have to make sure we take care of that and mind ourselves when we're in the facility. ACE inhibitors. These dilate your blood vessels and things like that. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is general knowledge. You can look all this up. But they dilate the blood vessels. This is really important. I'm going to give you an example of my lack of knowledge when I first did this. Blood vessels are dilated, they expand with ACE inhibitors. You take these, it helps control the blood pressure in one way, shape, or form. I don't know all the details behind it, but I know there's a dilation of the blood vessels. And you need to know this because a lot of the fad right now is to take all these pre-workouts. Well, if you're listening to this podcast today and you're looking at me, you're looking at a guy that didn't read the labels, that wasn't paying attention to it. In my past career, I was in a high stress career. I actually had high blood pressure for about 3 years, and I was taking these medications. Well, what I did, one of my kids was taking is I was a little bit tired and stuff. Well, that's from the symptoms of the blood pressure medication. My son gave me a pre-workout, and I didn't read the label. And he says, "Oh, Dad, just take half of that." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm a guy." I took the whole scoop for the first time. I dropped it in my water, shook it up, drank it. Well, it's got like 20 bazillion grams of caffeine in it, or milligrams of caffeine in it. So I'm sprinting around this gym. And about 15 minutes, 20 minutes into my workout, not our facility, but in the other facility I was at, I actually passed out. I didn't realize that the medications I had on board for my blood pressure were doing that. And now I stack it with something else that's going to create even more dilation or ramp up my blood processing. And my body couldn't take it, so it said, "Hey, guess what? Take a nap." These are things you have to know. That foolish mistake on my part makes me real critical when people come in and say, "Hey, I got a little hypertension here. Can we work on this?" My answer is absolutely. What are you taking? So that we can safely do the workouts. You have to know how it affects your supplementation. Your levels of work, though, can still be very successful when you're taking medications. It doesn't mean you're not going to lose your quality work that you've done. We just have to make slight adjustments to how we work out. We may have to change the duration of the workout, the intensity of the workout. We might have to change our focus on, maximal strength versus lots of running and cardio, because your heart rate may not be able to operate enough for, an hour of cardio. You may have to adjust that and get some other stuff going on. So I guess in a nutshell, you can absolutely, with a blood pressure situation, safely work out as long as it's controlled. And as long as you're doing what the doctor tells you, and as long as your coach or your trainer is knowledgeable about at least the basics of what you're taking and how it can impact you during that workout. That's why it's always important to check the credentials of your trainers. And I know here at Fitness for 10, our trainers are all certified trainers. It's important because they should generally have a background that's given them just in their basic certification classes that will teach them this stuff, and they're not just guessing. Hopefully that answers that, Steve.
Yeah, that does. And to one of his points, yeah, you can start off slow and probably should start off slow. And
Absolutely.
you're not taking blood pressure medication now, are you?
No, I came off it.
Well, there you
I
go. That's also possible. You can get off your medications. Exercise and diet can help. Again, we're not doctors, but you're on YouTube if you're watching this. Go search YouTube, videos on eliminating whatever you want to try to eliminate or medications. And again, that's pretty common knowledge that you can get off your medications. Your body can change, and there's other supplements that aren't medications that you can take.
there's all kinds of stuff you can try.
Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question, Sean. Again, we don't have all the specific details of a lot of you out there who are asking these questions about what your macros should be and all that. We don't know the specific details that are specific to you. So we're just kind of generalizing and following general rules of thumbs. But that's why you come in or you find professionals to help you. So, any other thoughts on this topic, Brian?
No, but I just want to throw at it, and I didn't even think until you say it. Hey, I'm living proof you don't have to stay on these meds. I was a little bit worried back in the day. This is over a decade ago. I was in my early 40s when I had to take this stuff to mid 40s. And then once I changed professions after I retired from my last profession, I was more physical and doing a lot more exercise. And this is why this can work. I was exercising more often and taking my medications to the point where the medication was unnecessary. So I got to come off it with the assistance of a doctor. I didn't do it myself. My doctors and I set up the plan. We set it up. Boom. I don't take the stuff anymore. You can come off it. You got to work out to get there.
Yep. And a lot of this stuff takes an effort. It's easier to take the pill. It's an effort that you got to put into it. So, thanks, Brian. Thanks for your time. Brian Sanchez, Fitness for 10 in Carson City, Nevada. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for letting me take the time.